My name is Eric Shabazz, and you're listening to the Invisible Hand Podcast. The world's ran by human nature, self-interest, and power. Let's get into it. I want to talk about this 50th anniversary of hip hop. And I'm an African American guy, 35 years old, mid-age. I understand the culture. I grew up in the culture. But let me explain something to you. First of all, and I want everybody to take this to heart, DJ Academics, LL Cool J, even though this is not really aimed toward him, nor was he really talking about this, but I'm just bringing him up because he's been in the conversation, T.I., all of them. Hip hop does not represent me. And far as I'm concerned, hip hop is not my culture. Hip hop is no more than a form of music, just like rock, R&B, okay? So far as I'm concerned, no more different than love or soft rock or romantic or metal. Hip hop is a form of music. It is not our culture. And last time I checked, we're the only group I can think of in America who calls a music genre our culture. When you talk to Hispanics, they don't mention Tejano music to represent them as their culture. They have an actual language, an actual country, an actual history that they call their culture. Hip hop is not African Americans' culture, and it's damn sure not my culture. Second of all, the majority of hip hop is controlled by kids from the ages of 18 to 25. If you look at majority of hip hop, including these guys they're arguing about that are legends, the majority of their music was created when they were young. The so-called legend Tupac died at 25. These are kids who are making music that becomes classical music that you expect grown, intelligent, educated men to consider their culture. Music with words and ideals that are expressed by somebody between the ages of 18 to 25 who haven't really lived life, who haven't really even educated themselves and got knowledge. And here's the worst part about this so-called hip hop that's supposed to be our culture. That typically when a guy gets between the ages of 35 to 40, they usually age out of hip hop and slowly stop making music. Some of the best rap that you ever heard, that's classical stuff, wasn't done by a 35 to 45 year old. It was done by somebody who's probably between the ages of 18 to 25, which means that even if hip hop could be our culture, that when a man gets to an age where he truly have knowledge and insight and truly have something to offer to the world, that's the age where they stop rapping. That's the age where their music is least heard. And so in actuality, hip hop has promoted a whole bunch of young people, most of them who grew up without a father, in a poverty-stricken community, in a lifestyle that was based around a cycle of oppression and lack of information, that they're jumping on tracks, Lil Durk, NBA Youngboy, and all these little kids jumping on tracks, rapping about nonsense. Now, am I trying to say that all of hip hop is made up of the young boys of the world? Absolutely not. There's people that I legitimately call legends like Jay-Z and Nas and LL and all these guys. And so I'm not saying all their music is bad. This is not me hating on hip hop. I'm just giving you a technical understanding of what you're really saying. You're taking a music genre and projecting it onto African Americans publicly and saying that it is our culture. If you ask anybody in the world, what is the number one thing that represents black culture? They would say hip hop, and specifically the music. Why? Not because they just want to put that on us, because we have self-proclaimed it our culture. Well, let me tell you right now, hip hop, it is not African American culture. It's something that African Americans participate in. It's music, but it's not our culture. Our culture is based around the food we eat, the language we speak, the history we had, the ideals we carry, and hip hop or music in general is simply something we create for our enjoyment. No more, no less. So this ideal that we want to grab hip hop just because it's successful and it's the one thing that we do in America, including sports, that's well respected, we want to make it more than what it is, and we want to champion it into this, hey, it's our culture, don't disrespect the culture. Hip hop is not our culture. Hip hop is just music, and it needs to be put back in its place. And its place is music is desired for our enjoyment when we're down, to accommodate our mood, whether it's an aggressive mood, a sad mood, an insightful mood, a motivating mood. Music exists for all human beings to accommodate our emotions and our mood, but that's all it is. It is not our culture. It is not our culture. And here's the reason why it's not our culture. By saying hip hop is our culture, what you're doing is inadvertently making people who produce music more important to black people than they actually are. Just because you produce music that we all enjoy don't make you important. And I'm not knocking any artist, whether it's Nipsey Hussle, P&B Rock, God bless the dead, King Von, God bless the dead, right? These guys passed away, unfortunately, because of gang culture, hip hop culture, and the aggression involved in music. And I'm not blaming hip hop, I'm blaming young black men who grew up the wrong way that so happen to be doing music, right? And so by saying hip hop is our culture and elevating its importance up here, you're also simultaneously elevating people who should not necessarily be celebrated as the leaders of our culture. The leaders of our culture should be Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey, all the engineers, all the people who went and got bachelor degrees, all the regular working class men who go to work every day and take care of their families, set the examples, the preachers who are doing the right thing in the church, leading the congregation, the women who are doing the right things, taking care of their kids and being a positive role model. Those are the leaders of our culture. But because African Americans need a win so bad, we need something that we can put in front of the world in America besides our history of slavery and say, look, we're successful. Look at what we produced over here in athletics. Look at everybody listening to our music. And so because you need a win, right, so bad, African Americans, you want to elevate hip hop, but what you're doing is simultaneously elevating people who necessarily shouldn't be elevated. Now, does that mean that we shouldn't give respect and acknowledge that Lil Durk and these other guys can make good music that people like, even though I don't necessarily like Lil Durk music or Young Boy's music? Nothing wrong with it. I just don't like what they're talking about. It's like it's no value to somebody who's older and intelligent. But I don't knock that he's a talented artist, right? As far as being able to rap and entertain and produce videos. So I'm not going to take nothing away from him. I'm just telling me personally, I don't like the music. I'm of an older generation. I just think they're not talking about anything that I would respect. So by trying to desperately big up your accomplishments of hip hop, of rap music, you're elevating the people who are producing basically junk. You have kids between the ages of 18 to 25 talking about street life, many of them who are not fully living, some of them that they are. None of the stuff is positive. They're usually beefing or complaining or telling stories in their music about killing other black men, and it's mindless, dumb stuff. The average 35-year-old man who's educated wouldn't listen to any of these guys, especially today. NBA Youngboy, Durk, all these young kids are not talking about anything. I don't know any 35-year-old man who's intelligent that's above the age of 35 that would listen to any of this generation music when they're talking about the dumb shit. Now, every once in a while, they'll make like a fun song that anybody can listen to. Not gonna take none away from them. I'll give them some play. But most of that shit they're talking about on those tracks are trash, is dumb, and no grown man should be found or okay being found listening, really listening to that stuff. I mean, like when you're in your car by yourself thinking, turning that on, listening to what they're saying, as a grown black man, I think that either you got a bad mindset or you're promoting things that are just not smart. So I kind of ran it there, but I want to get back to the main point. Hip hop is not our culture. It's a part of the musical culture that black people created, but it is not black culture. So this ideal of disrespecting the culture, music is not our culture. And so let me set that to bed right now. Music is just a genre, just like any other genre of music. And we're the only group in America calling the music our main focus of our culture. Do you see white people running around when they ask you about white culture, say the main culture of white people is country music? No, they put it in its place. It's music. Their culture is capitalism. In their minds, their culture is American ethos. Their culture is industrialization, imperialism. See, these things have value, right? It produced value in the world as far as they're concerned, right? They gave them control of a country. They gave them an economic system. It gave them power in the world. And they'll say, this is the culture around what it means historically to be white. And when we talk about our culture as African Americans, in America, what do we talk about? Slavery, hip hop, and sports. I know there's way more to it, but I'm making a point that because we're so desperate for a win to be seen as successful in society, we want to feel good so much that we're grabbing the worst elements of what we are and championing it as our culture. Now, I want to say this because I know that some people could see this video and start naming a whole bunch of positive rappers who made a good impact. I'm not saying all of hip hop is bad. I'm saying too much of it is bad. Of course, there's 30% of it that's very good, positive, insightful, motivating, and overall quality music. But there's another 70 or 60 to 70% of it that is not. It's trash. It's people talking about gangs and street life. And it's mostly kids between the ages of 18 to 35 who don't know shit about the real world. They could tell you about the block. They could tell you about the streets. They could tell you about the ops. But if it's time to tell you how to get a job, how to navigate the world, how the political system work, how to be educated, how to start a business, how to manage money, how to lead other men in a business setting, all the things that make the real world work, the industries work, the energy works, basically the entire planet works. They don't know much about that, but they can tell you about the ops. So my point is this, and I'm not trying to hate on black people because I'm definitely on your side, is we as black people have to first of all put music in its place. And you know what place that is? It's just music. It is not our culture.
The future of legal betting is finally here. Place a bet using Bitcoin right over the phone. Unlike traditional gambling sites, every bet you make with us is guaranteed a 50% probability of winning. All of our bets are one-on-one against a real person and never the house. We offer some of the most unique bets in the industry. Bets like, will LeBron James win his 5th NBA title? Will Joe Biden be elected for a 2nd term? Will Tesla be worth $1 trillion by the end of 2022? You can bet on if it'll rain tomorrow. You can literally bet on any future event. Text the phrase I bet to the number in the description and I'll reply back with all of our available bets. Again, text the phrase I bet to the number in the description and I'll reply back with all of our available bets today.